So you just paid your subbie 5 grand, the full amount, no CIS deductions. They told you they were growth status and you trusted them. 3 months later, HMRC opens a compliance check. Turns out they weren't gross, they were registered for net. You should have deducted 20%, that's £1,000, and HMRC now wants that money from you. Not the subbie, you, plus penalties, plus interest. I've seen this exact scenario cost construction businesses thousands. Not just fines, not just stress, full-blown HMRC investigations. And this is just one of the biggest CIS mistakes I see too often. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the 5 biggest CIS mistakes construction businesses make, why they happen, and most importantly, how to fix them before HMRC comes knocking. I'm Ahmed Qayyum, a chartered accountant and finance director for construction firms and founder of Blue Water Accountants. If you work with subcontractors and you're not 100% confident your CIS is compliant, then this video is for you. Let's get into it. So mistake number 1, not verifying subcontractors properly. This is where many problems start. You hire a subbie, they send you an invoice 5 grand and you pay it, but you never verified their CIS status with HMRC. Maybe they said they were gross and you trusted them, or maybe you assumed they were on 20% because most of them usually are. But here's the problem. If that subbie was net registered, you should have deducted 20%. That's £1,000. And HMRC will want that money from you, plus penalties and plus interest. Or if they weren't registered at all, you should have deducted 30%, that's £1,500. And if you paid them gross in that situation, for HMRC that's a serious compliance issue. On the flip side, what if they were gross status but you deducted 20% anyway? Now you've over-deducted and you've held back their cash. The sub is annoyed and you've messed up your CIS reporting. The fix for this is simple. Verify every subbie before the very first payment. Go to HMRC's online CIS service, enter their UTR number, confirm their status, and save the verification for your records. And here's the part most people miss. Re-verifying every year, because statuses change. Someone who was net registered last year might be gross now, and if you're still deducting, you're over-deducting. Or someone may lose their registration, and that means you need to be deducting 30% instead. And if HMRC asks you for verification records, do you think you can produce them? Name, UTR, status, date verified? If not, you've got a compliance problem. Here's how you can stay on top of it. Create a subbie register, which could be a spreadsheet or it could be in your accounting software, and you log every single subbie that you verified. You log the name, the UTR, the CIS status, the deduction rate, the day you verified them, and the date that you need to re-verify them again. Once you have that, you should be checking that register before you make any payment to any subbie. Check that the status matches what you're about to deduct, and if it does, then we're all good. Once set up, this will only take 5 minutes to do, and it will save you thousands in penalties, stress, and damaged relationships. Mistake number 2 is applying the wrong deduction rates. Even if you verify your subbies, you still need to apply the right rates. Here's what happens. Your subbie is registered for 20%, you deduct 20%. Great. Except your deduction should only be on the labor portion. Now the invoice was for 5 grand, and 2 grand was for materials, and 3 grand was for labor. CIS only applies to the labor element, not materials, so you should have deducted 20% on 3,000. That's £600. But you deducted £1,000 on the full invoice, so you over-deducted by £400. Yes, they can reclaim it, but no, they won't be happy, and your relationship will take a hit. And HMRC will see this as a compliance error. Here's another issue. You verified their status 2 years ago, they were not registered then, and you've been deducting 20% ever since. But 3 months ago, they got gross status. HMRC approved it. And you didn't check and you kept deducting 20%. Now you owe them money and they're rightfully annoyed. On the flip side, their CIS registration lapses and now you should be deducting 30% instead of 20%. HMRC picks that up and now you're liable for 10% on the difference. So on 10 grand, that's £1,000. And multiply that over a number of invoices and that will soon start racking up. So how do you prevent this? First, you require your subbies to break down their invoices between labor and materials. If they don't split it out, send the invoice back, no breakdown, no payment. Secondly, check your subbie register before every payment, not their status from 18 months ago, their current status. Thirdly, re-verify them annually at a minimum. Ideally, when subbies tell you anything's changed, you should be verifying them immediately. Fourthly, you should be reviewing a CIS return before you file it. Check the numbers, are the deduction rates correct, and if there's an error, fix it before HMRC does. Mistake number 3 is missing monthly CIS return deadlines. This one is simple but very expensive. CIS returns are due by the 19th of every month. That's for payments paid between the 6th and the 5th. So if you've paid your subbies between the 6th of March and the 5th of April, your return is due by the 19th of April. Miss the deadline and you'll automatically receive a £100 penalty every month. Miss 3 and the penalties escalate. I've seen construction firms rack up over £1,200 a year in penalties because they didn't file on time. And here's what makes it harder. HMRC doesn't send reminders like they do for self-assessment. Deadline passes, penalty lands. Even if you file but the return is wrong deduction rates, wrong UTRs, missing subbies, HMRC can penalize you for up to £3,000 per return. If the errors are repeated, they launch a compliance investigation. So ask yourself, do you know your CIS deadlines? Have you ever had a late filing penalty? Who's responsible, really responsible for submitting your CIS returns? And here's a fix that I would recommend. Set reminders, I recommend on the 10th of every month. Aim to submit by the 15th, so you're building a buffer before the filing deadline, and assign responsibility. One person owns CIS returns, not everyone's job, one person. Use accounting software that generates CIS returns for you like Xero, Sage, or QuickBooks, and absolutely don't leave this to spreadsheets. It's too risky and it's too manual. And if you're already late, then file today because penalties will only stop once you file. So if you're watching this and thinking, I'm not totally sure my CIS is compliant, that's okay. Most construction businesses are usually in the same boat. That's why I've created a free construction finance health check, and it only takes 3 minutes to complete. It shows you exactly how your finance function is performing across 5 key areas, including CIS compliance. And it shows you where the gaps are and what you can do next to fill those gaps. The link's in the description below. Now let's look at the final 2 mistakes, as these are the ones that most often trigger HMRC investigations. Mistake number 4 is not keeping proper records. This is a big one. HMRC can audit your CIS compliance for the last 3 years, 6 years if they suspect something even more serious. If they ask to see your records and you can't produce them, the burden of proof is on you. No verification records, HMRC assumes you didn't verify. No deduction records, HMRC assumes you under-deducted. They assess what they think you owe and they add penalties and interest, and you're stuck. I've seen firms who paid subbies in cash, no invoices, no statements, no records, nothing. In an audit, they had no defense. HMRC estimated their CIS liability based on their bank activity, and they hit them with thousands in assessments. Even worse, some firms did verify and file, but all the records were on paper or in a folder in a damp cupboard. Once HMRC asks, you have 30 days to provide what they want. Saying we can't find it is not good enough. So ask yourself, if HMRC asked for your CIS records from 2 years ago, would you be able to produce them? Are your subbie payments traceable through your bank account? Are you still paying people in cash? Now here's how you can fix it. First, move everything digital. Store verification certificates, deduction statements, invoices, and payment records in one place. You can use cloud software, and Xero is great for this. Second, pay subbies via bank transfer, not cash, ever. Third, keep records for at least 3 years, and 6 years would be even safer. And always back them up. Don't rely on one laptop or one filing cabinet. HMRC gives zero mercy if you can't produce records. Don't wait until they ask. Mistake number 5, treating CIS like it's a simple tax. A lot of people think CIS is just another tax. I deduct money, I pass it to HMRC, job done. But that mindset is how businesses get into trouble. First, CIS money isn't your money. You're holding it on behalf of HMRC. If you deduct $2,000 but spend it on overheads, HMRC still expect that money on the payment deadline. And if you don't have it, now you're scrambling and you're starting to fall behind. That's how tax arrears start. Secondly, CIS interacts with VAT, specifically the domestic reverse charge. If reverse charge applies, you don't pay VAT to the subbie, you account for it yourself, but you still deduct CIS on the labour element. Get this wrong and you overpay VAT, underpay CIS, or both. Most general accountants miss this, so they set it up wrong. It takes years to correct. Third, CIS affects your cash flow. You pay a subbie $4,000 after deduction, you hold back $1,000, that's $5,000 leaving your account. If you're not planning for that HMRC payment each month, your cash flow forecast is wrong. So here's what to do. Treat CIS deductions as HMRC money and don't use it. If possible, separate it into a different bank account. If not, separate it in your mind and in your accounting system. Understand how reverse charge and CIS interact. If you're not sure, get specialist advice. And include CIS in your cash flow planning always. CIS isn't just a box to tick, it affects your cash, your subbie relationships, and your HMRC risk. Treat it seriously. So those are the 5 biggest CIS mistakes I often see. If you're not confident your CIS is being handled correctly, don't wait for HMRC to tell you there's a problem. Take the construction finance health check. The link's in the description below. It will give you an instant report showing you what you need to fix and how to fix it. And if you're doing over 500 grand in turnover, I'll walk you through your results in a free 30-minute call. We'll review your CIS setup, fix any urgent issues, and make sure you're protected from HMRC. Now, if this video helped, hit subscribe. I've got more construction finance content coming your way. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.